The interstellar station hung like a jewel in the void, a place where countless species of the galaxy converged. Lights of every color glimmered across the docking ports, and the hum of engines, both human and alien, vibrated through the metal corridors. Humans, aliens, and machines moved together in a curious harmony, each focused on their own tasks, yet aware of the lives weaving around them. Ethan adjusted the strap of his utility bag as he walked through the busy corridor. His heart beat faster than he wanted to admit. He had traveled far from Earth, answering a request for engineering expertise. This station was famous for its advanced systems, and its operators had called in humans for their unique problem-solving skills. Ethan knew humans were respected, but stepping onto a station filled with alien races made him feel both proud and nervous. He passed a group of small, insect-like aliens chattering in a high-pitched hum, their many wings vibrating as they moved. Then a pair of tall, crystalline beings walked past, their bodies refracting light like living prisms. Ethan tried not to stare too long. He had learned the hard way that many species did not appreciate overt curiosity. "Ethan, your quarters are ready," a cheerful voice said. He turned to see a young human assistant, her uniform crisp and spotless. "Thank you," he replied, offering a polite nod. She led him down a winding corridor, twisting and turning past the bustling activity of the station. "You'll be sharing the room with an alien diplomat," she said casually. "Her name is Lyra. She's expecting you." Ethan stopped mid-step. "Sharing the room?" He swallowed, feeling a knot of nerves tighten in his stomach. He had been told to prepare for many unusual things in space, but sharing a room with an alien, especially an important one, was not something he had anticipated. "Yes," the assistant said, smiling. "It's standard protocol. Space is limited, and she prefers privacy, so you'll be together for the duration of your stay. Don't worry, she's very professional." Ethan nodded slowly, trying to picture the situation. He had imagined a quiet room of his own, with tools scattered around and the hum of machinery to keep him company. Instead, he would have to navigate conversations, customs, and behaviors he did not fully understand. Finally, they reached a small door labeled Quarters 42B. The assistant stopped and turned to him. "That's it. You'll find all your supplies inside. She's already settled in. I'll leave you two to get acquainted." Ethan's stomach twisted. He took a deep breath and opened the door. The room was simple but comfortable. A single bed rested against one wall, its sheets neatly arranged. A small desk held various devices and tools, and a window looked out into the blackness of space, the stars twinkling like distant lanterns. And then he saw her. Lyra stood near the window, her tall, elegant form framed by the soft glow of starlight. Her skin was a shimmering silver, almost metallic, catching the light with each subtle movement. Her eyes were large and golden, reflecting the endless expanse outside. She turned toward him, and for a moment, neither spoke. Ethan felt his voice catch. Hi. I'm Ethan. I guess we'll be sharing this room." Lyra tilted her head, observing him carefully. Then she smiled, a gentle curve of her lips that made her seem both kind and amused. "I know," she said softly. "It will be perfect." Ethan blinked. "Perfect?" he asked, unsure if he had understood her correctly. "Yes," she replied. Her voice was melodic, almost musical. "Perfect for getting to know each other." Ethan's mind raced. She was not only beautiful and alien, but confident and calm. He had no idea what getting to know each other meant in her culture. Was it a formal phrase, a joke, or something else entirely? Right, he said, forcing a smile. "I guess we'll see." Lyra moved closer to the bed, her steps graceful and measured. She studied the single bed, then glanced at Ethan. "I do not mind sharing," she said simply. "It is convenient." Ethan swallowed again. He was a practical man, trained in machines and systems, not diplomacy or alien social cues. Yet something in Lyra's calm presence made the room feel warmer, less intimidating. He nodded, deciding that worrying would not help. "Okay," he said, trying to sound casual. Then I guess we should settle in. Lyra smiled again, and this time Ethan thought he saw a hint of amusement. She gestured toward the desk. I have set up some tools and devices here, she said. Perhaps you can inspect them. I am curious about human methods. Ethan's eyes lit up. Engineering was his language, and suddenly he felt more at home. Absolutely, he said, moving to the desk. He examined the small tools she had laid out. Some were familiar human devices, others were alien in design, intricate and delicate, as he worked. Lyra watched silently, her golden eyes tracking every movement. Ethan noticed how focused she was, the way she leaned slightly to observe details, the subtle shifts of her body as if every movement had meaning. He felt a strange mix of admiration and nervousness. You handle these well, Lyra said finally. I expected less precision from humans. Ethan laughed softly. We do what we can. I guess some things are universal. Lyra nodded, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps, or perhaps humans have more flexibility than I realized. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft alarm. Ethan frowned. That's not a critical system alarm. Probably just a station notification. Lyra raised an eyebrow. In that case, it is a good time to continue learning about each other. Ethan froze. He was not sure how to respond. Yes. Learning. Sure. For the next hour, they shared simple stories. Ethan spoke of Earth, the cities, the oceans, the mountains. He described the small things humans valued: music, art, cooking, and the feeling of rain on the skin. Lyra listened intently, occasionally asking questions that made him explain more carefully. Then it was Lyra's turn. She spoke of her home planet, a world of silver forests and floating crystal lakes. She described the ways her people communicated, not just through words but through gestures and subtle changes in skin color. She explained the rituals of respect and trust that guided her society. Ethan listened, fascinated. Everything about her was new, yet he found connections, threads that reminded him of human life, human emotion, human curiosity. As the conversation wound down, the station lights dimmed to indicate the end of the day. Ethan looked at the bed, feeling a nervous flutter. Sharing a bed with an alien diplomat was not something he had imagined, yet something about Lyra's presence, her calm voice, and her steady gaze made the situation feel safe. I suppose we should sleep, he said awkwardly. Lyra nodded. Yes, sleep is necessary. Ethan glanced at the bed again. I mean, it's just one bed. I hope that's not a problem. Lyra stepped closer, her golden eyes meeting his. It is not a problem, she said softly. It is perfect. Ethan swallowed. He was not sure why her words made his heart beat faster, but they did. He realized that this was not just a physical space they were sharing. It was a space of trust, of possibility, and perhaps of connection. They arranged their sides of the bed, keeping a polite distance. Ethan lay down, still alert to every sound in the station. Lyra lay down beside him, maintaining her usual calm demeanor. The quiet hum of the station filled the room, a gentle reminder of the galaxy outside. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lyra's voice came, soft and thoughtful. You are different from what I expected. Humans are unpredictable, yet capable. Ethan smiled faintly. I guess that's true, but you're more fascinating than I imagined. A soft silence followed. It was not uncomfortable. It was a silence full of possibilities, of the unknown journey that lay ahead. Ethan realized that the station, the stars, even the small bed they shared, was no longer intimidating. It was a place where something new could begin. As sleep approached, Ethan felt a strange sense of anticipation. Sharing a room, sharing stories, sharing a quiet space. It was the start of something unexpected. and for the first time since he arrived, he felt that being human in a galaxy of aliens was not only acceptable, but remarkable. Lyra turned slightly, her golden eyes catching the faint glow of the station lights. "Sleep well, Ethan," she said softly. "Tomorrow, we will see what humans and aliens can do together." Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of trust, curiosity, and possibility. He thought of the words she had spoken earlier. That's perfect. Perhaps he realized it really was. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent yet watchful. Inside, a human and an alien shared a small room, a single bed, and the beginning of a bond that could span worlds. And in the quiet hum of the interstellar station, the galaxy seemed just a little smaller, a little friendlier, and full of promise. The next morning, the station hummed with life, louder and busier than Ethan expected. He rubbed his eyes as he opened them. Sunlight filtered through the thick glass of the observation window. The stars of the galaxy shimmered faintly, even in the bright light, reminding him that this station floated in the vast emptiness of space. Lyra was already awake. She stood near the window, her golden eyes scanning the distant ships that docked and departed. Her silver skin seemed to glow faintly in the morning light, and Ethan could not help but notice how graceful and calm she appeared. "Good morning," he said, sitting up. "Sleep well?" Lyra turned toward him, her voice soft yet melodic. "Yes, sleep was sufficient." She paused, tilting her head. "And you?" Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous habit he had developed around new situations. "Better than I expected. Sharing a room, I mean. It doesn't feel awkward." Lyra's lips curved in a small, approving smile. "Good. I wish for comfort during my stay. Tension does not assist progress." Ethan nodded, suddenly feeling that he could speak freely with her. It was strange. In the middle of an alien station, surrounded by species he could not even name, he felt a strange sense of trust toward this diplomat. After a brief breakfast at the small table in their room, they decided to explore the station together. Ethan followed her through winding corridors past a mix of humans and aliens. Each step reminded him how vast and diverse the galaxy truly was. Lyra moved with quiet authority. People and aliens alike gave her space, bowing slightly or offering a polite nod. Ethan noticed that even though she seemed calm and gentle, her presence commanded respect. "Your station is impressive," Lyra said as they walked. "The technology. It is different from my world, yet functional." Ethan glanced at her. "You think your world is better?" he asked, curious. She considered. "Different. My world values balance, observation, and patience. Yours, humans focus on change, adaptability, and action. Both have merit." Ethan chuckled. "I like that. Humans are curious, always looking for solutions, maybe too curious sometimes." Lyra's golden eyes sparkled with amusement. "Curiosity is effective, even if it brings risk." Their conversation continued as they approached the central hub of the station, a vast, circular area where dozens of species interacted. Traders sold exotic goods, engineers monitored ship traffic, and diplomats exchanged greetings. Lyra guided Ethan to a quieter section of the station, where an observation deck overlooked the docking bay. Ethan's eyes widened at the view. Ships, of all shapes and sizes, moved like coordinated dancers. Metallic hulls gleamed under station lights, and energy beams crisscrossed as docking clamps engaged. "You humans understand engineering in a remarkable way," Lyra said softly. "Even simple structures on your homeworld, they reveal ingenuity." Ethan smiled, feeling proud. "We do what we can. I guess solving problems is instinctive for humans." Lyra nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "Yes, and perhaps instinct is what makes humans resilient." They found a small bench near the window and sat. For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the station and the distant clatter of docking ships was the only sound. "I want to understand your people," Lyra said quietly. Not just engineering, not just your physical abilities, your emotions, your choices, your values. Humans, they seem unpredictable, yet capable. Ethan felt a warm sensation in his chest. Few aliens had ever expressed interest in human emotion. Most saw humans as tools, workers, or curiosities. But Lyra, she seemed genuinely curious. "I can try to explain," he said. "It's not easy. Humans are complicated. We make mistakes, we succeed, we fight, we forgive. It's a long list." Lyra's lips curved in a small smile. "I like lists. They reveal structure. Perhaps you can teach me." Over the next few hours, Ethan shared stories of Earth. He spoke of forests, oceans, mountains, and cities. He described human festivals, celebrations, and rituals. He told her about simple joys, watching a sunset, sharing food with friends, helping others. Lyra listened carefully, absorbing every word. Occasionally, she would ask questions, her tone curious rather than skeptical. She asked about fear, courage, loyalty, and humor. Ethan tried to answer honestly, finding that explaining humans to an alien made him see his own species in a new light. When it was Lyra's turn, she spoke of her planet. She described the silver forests that glowed faintly at night, floating, lakes of crystal that reflected the sky, and cities that were alive with energy and movement. She spoke of the values of her people: observation, patience, and mutual respect. Humans and Lyra's people were different, but Ethan noticed a shared sense of curiosity and determination. "You value different things than humans," Ethan said after a pause. "But I see, some things are the same. Caring for others, respecting your world, those are universal." Lyra tilted her head, golden eyes meeting his. "Perhaps, or perhaps, these values are necessary for survival. Both species have learned cooperation is essential." The hours passed quickly. By mid-afternoon, the station lights dimmed to indicate the approach of evening. Ethan and Lyra returned to their quarters, tired but satisfied. Inside the small room, the single bed again caught Ethan's attention. He could not ignore the awkwardness. About the bed," he said, scratching the back of his neck. "I hope sharing it isn't uncomfortable." Lyra's eyes softened. "I have said it is perfect. I trust you will not make it uncomfortable." Ethan swallowed. "Right. Perfect. I trust that too." They arranged themselves carefully, maintaining distance yet sharing the small space. Ethan felt a mixture of nervousness and calm. The bed was no longer just furniture, it was a symbol of trust, a bridge between two very different beings. As they prepared for sleep, Ethan reflected on the day. He had learned a great deal about Lyra, her culture, and her perspective. He realized that humans and aliens could find common ground, even in the smallest details of life. Lyra broke the silence. "You are different from what I expected. Humans often seem reckless, yet you consider carefully. You think before you act." Ethan smiled faintly. "I try. Not always successfully, but I try." Her smile widened slightly. "That is admirable." They fell silent again, letting the quiet hum of the station fill the room. Ethan felt a sense of peace he had not experienced in years. He was far from Earth, surrounded by alien technology and alien beings, yet he felt a strange connection. Lyra was no longer just a diplomat. She was someone he could rely on, someone who could understand him despite the vast differences between their worlds. As sleep overtook him, Ethan thought of the day ahead. He knew that their time together would not always be easy. Differences in culture, biology, and communication would challenge them. But he also knew that trust and understanding could overcome obstacles. Lyra shifted slightly, her golden eyes meeting his one last time before closing. "Tomorrow," she whispered softly, "we will see how much humans and aliens can achieve together." Ethan closed his eyes, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. Sharing a room, sharing a bed, sharing stories. It was the beginning of a bond that neither of them fully understood yet. And as he drifted into sleep, he realized that the galaxy, vast and mysterious, seemed a little smaller, a little friendlier, and full of possibility. The next day, as the station buzzed with life, Ethan awoke with a sense of determination. He would not only repair systems and solve technical problems, he would also learn, observe, and connect. The human ability to adapt, to empathize, and to find common ground was his greatest strength. And with Lyra beside him, even in silence, he knew they could face anything the galaxy might throw at them. Outside the window, ships moved gracefully, unaware of the growing trust between a human and an alien. Inside the small room, the single bed remained, a quiet witness to the start of something extraordinary. In that moment, Ethan understood that adventure was not only in the stars or in distant planets. Adventure was in trust, in connection, and in the courage to share a small room with someone very different and yet somehow perfectly compatible. The day began like any other on the interstellar station, the hum of machinery blending with the chatter of humans and aliens alike. Ethan adjusted his utility belt and glanced at Lyra, who was quietly observing the flow of activity from their shared quarters. The sunlight reflecting off her silver skin gave her an ethereal glow. "I think today will be calm," Ethan said, trying to ease the tension he always felt in the station. Lyra's golden eyes met his, thoughtful and sharp. "Calm is sometimes deceptive. I sense possibility of disruption." Ethan chuckled nervously. Possibility of what? Before Lyra could answer, the station shuddered. A deep, mechanical groan vibrated through the walls, and red warning lights flashed. Across the corridors, "Alert!" came the automated voice, cold and urgent. "Docking bay failure, structural integrity at risk. Evacuate non-essential personnel." Ethan froze for a moment, his mind racing. Docking bay failure could mean ships colliding, explosive decompression, or worse. He grabbed his bag of tools instinctively. Lyra moved with a calm urgency. "Ethan, we must act. Follow me." They sprinted through the twisting corridors, the red warning lights casting shadows that danced like living beings. Aliens of various species rushed past them, some carrying equipment, others helping injured crew members. The station was alive, with chaos, yet Ethan noticed how organized it all seemed compared to Earth emergencies. "This way," Lyra said, guiding him down a side corridor he had never noticed before. "We can reach the control room. From there we may stabilize the docking bay." Ethan followed, trusting her judgment. Her confidence was contagious, even in the face of danger. When they reached the control room, the view screen displayed the chaos outside. 2 large cargo ships had misaligned during docking. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and energy fields fluctuated dangerously. "We must reroute power and stabilize the docking clamps," Lyra said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were focused like a predator tracking its prey. Ethan quickly examined the control panels, recognizing some human-designed systems, some alien. He connected wires, adjusted energy flows, and followed Lyra's instructions. "Carefully, divertment power to port clamps," Lyra said. "Now!" Ethan acted quickly, the rush of adrenaline heightening his senses. Sparks flew from an exposed console, and he yelped as the current zapped his gloves, but he pressed on. Lyra worked simultaneously, her hands moving gracefully across alien controls that Ethan could barely comprehend. Minutes felt like hours. The station shook violently as a nearby cargo ship grazed the docking bay wall. Ethan's heart pounded, but he kept his focus. "You are fast-thinking," Lyra said, as she adjusted a sequence of energy flows. "I am impressed." Ethan smiled even under the pressure. "You're not so bad yourself." A sudden explosion rocked the station, knocking them both off their feet. Debris scattered across the floor, and the lights flickered dangerously. Ethan instinctively shielded Lyra, pulling her down behind a console. "Thank you," she said quietly, her golden eyes meeting his. There was no fear in her gaze, only calm trust. Ethan felt a surge of warmth. Even in the midst of chaos, her trust gave him courage. "We're not done yet," he said, brushing dust from his sleeves. They scrambled back to the panels, coordinating their actions. Lyra suggested rerouting energy from secondary systems, and Ethan quickly recalculated power distribution. The docking clamps glowed as they stabilized, holding the ships in place just as another tremor shook the station. "Almost there," Lyra said, her voice steady. "One more adjustment." Ethan followed her instructions, and with a hiss of released pressure, the energy fields locked into place. The alarm silenced, and the lights returned to normal. They both exhaled, deeply, leaning against the console. Ethan's heart was still racing, but a sense of accomplishment washed over him. "We did it," he said. Lyra nodded, her golden eyes reflecting relief. "Yes. Together, we did it." For a few moments, they simply sat in silence, recovering from the chaos. Ethan noticed how close she was, her presence comforting even after such a dangerous event. "You saved many lives," Lyra said softly. "Humans, they often act alone. You act with thought and care." Ethan shrugged, still catching his breath. "I just did what seemed right. You were amazing too." Lyra's smile was small but genuine. "Perhaps humans are more capable than I realized, and they can teach me much." The moment lingered, a quiet understanding passing between them. Danger had a strange way of revealing truth. Ethan realized that trust was not built in calm days or simple conversations. It was forged in moments like this when life and death were only steps apart. As the station resumed normal operations, Ethan and Lyra returned to their quarters. The corridor felt calmer now, yet the memory of chaos lingered. They arranged themselves, carefully on the single bed, still keeping distance yet aware of a new bond forming. Ethan started, unsure how to phrase his thoughts. "I'm glad you were here today. I couldn't have done it alone." Lyra's golden eyes softened. "And I am glad you were here. Humans, they are adaptable, courageous. You prove it." Ethan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Sharing a dangerous experience with someone, especially someone so different, had created a connection deeper than mere friendship. They spoke quietly about the day, sharing small observations and feelings. Ethan realized how much he had learned about Lyra, her focus, her patience, her trust. She was more than an alien diplomat. She was someone he could rely on, someone who understood him in ways few could. As the night deepened, Ethan looked at the single bed between them. He no longer felt awkward about sharing it. It had become a symbol of trust, of partnership, and of the quiet moments that followed chaos. Lyra spoke softly, her voice almost a whisper. "Trust is rare, but today, I see it is possible." Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. "Yes. Trust is everything, and we found it today." The station outside continued its hum, indifferent to the events that had unfolded. Ships docked and departed, aliens and humans moved past each other, and life went on. Yet inside their small room, a human and an alien shared a quiet moment, their bond strengthened by the trials of the day. Ethan realized that danger had a purpose beyond fear. It revealed courage, capability, and the capacity to connect with someone unlike oneself. He thought of the words Lyra had spoken earlier. Perfect. He understood now that perfection was not in comfort or convenience, but in the trust and cooperation they had built together. As sleep approached, Ethan and Lyra lay quietly, the single bed no longer a concern. It was a shared space of safety and understanding. Ethan felt a strange mix of excitement and peace. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknowns, yet with trust and courage anything was possible. Lyra turned slightly, golden eyes reflecting the soft glow of the station lights. "Tomorrow, we will see how much humans and aliens can achieve together, Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the warmth of connection. He knew that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but he also knew that with Lyra by his side, he could face whatever the galaxy held. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, and inside, a human and an alien shared a quiet space, bound by trust, courage, and the memory of a day that had changed everything. For the first time, Ethan realized that adventure was not only in distant planets or uncharted systems. Adventure was in trust, in shared experience, and in the courage to face danger together. And in the quiet of the room, on the single bed, a human and an alien began to discover the true meaning of partnership. The station hummed softly, as if acknowledging the bond forming within its walls. Ethan felt a sense of pride, not just in surviving the chaos, but in connecting with someone so different and yet so compatible. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new challenges, but for now the quiet was enough. The galaxy seemed smaller, friendlier, and full of promise. And in that moment, Ethan understood that humans could not only survive among aliens, they could inspire trust, respect, and cooperation, even in the most unexpected circumstances. The morning light filtered through the observation window of the shared quarters, casting a gentle glow on the room. Ethan stretched, feeling the stiffness from yesterday's chaos fade. The memory of stabilizing the docking bay, of working alongside. Lyra still lingered, bringing a mix of pride and warmth to his chest. Lyra stood near the window, her golden eyes reflecting the soft light. She was quiet, almost contemplative, as if observing not only the station but also something deeper. Ethan hesitated before speaking. "Good morning," he said, trying for casual. "Sleep well?" Lyra turned slightly, a small, approving smile on her lips. "Sufficiently. And you?" "Better than I expected," Ethan admitted. "Yesterday, it was intense, but having you there made a difference." Her eyes softened. "Trust is rare. Yet I trusted you." Ethan felt a warmth spreading in his chest. "I trusted you too. Even though you're so different, I felt confident we could handle it together." They shared a quiet smile, a moment of understanding that needed no words. After a simple breakfast, Lyra suggested they take a walk around the station. Ethan agreed, sensing that their bond, already strengthened by danger, could deepen through shared experiences. As they moved through the corridors, Ethan noticed the subtle ways Lyra observed the station. She studied the layout, the energy conduits, and the behavior of different species with careful attention. It was clear she analyzed everything, yet she did so without judgment. "You learn quickly," she said softly, noting his inspection of a complex control panel. Ethan shrugged. "I've been doing this for years. Humans adapt fast when needed. It's instinctive, I guess." Lyra nodded. Instinct and trust. Both valuable. They reached a quiet section of the station, a small garden filled with alien plants, glowing faintly in the artificial light. Ethan paused, marveling at the colors and shapes he had never seen before. "This is incredible," he whispered. "Your people, do they cultivate gardens like this?" Lyra's lips curved. "Yes. Our world values harmony, gardens. They teach patience, observation, and care. Life is fragile. We learn to respect it." Ethan knelt near a plant with luminescent leaves, gently touching its surface. Humans could learn a lot from this. On Earth, we often destroy what we love without thinking. Lyra observed him carefully. Humans are capable of both creation and destruction. Yet, you also repair, build, and protect. That is admirable. Ethan smiled. "We try. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail, but we keep trying." Lyra studied him for a moment, then spoke quietly. "That is courage." They spent hours in the garden exchanging stories about home, culture, and values. Ethan shared small tales of human festivals, music, and food. Lyra described her world's rituals, their way of teaching young aliens respect for life, and the subtle gestures of communication that were essential in her society. Your people, they feel deeply, Lyra said softly, tilting her head. I can see emotions guide your actions. That is different from my world, yet beautiful. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans do feel deeply. It can be messy, unpredictable, but it drives us to do amazing things. I think it's what makes us human. Lyra's golden eyes softened. And yet, trust, courage, and thought. You possess all. I underestimated humans before, but now I see potential. They returned to their quarters as the station lights dimmed for evening. The single bed, once a source of awkwardness, had become a symbol of trust and safety. Ethan set down his bag and looked at Lyra, unsure how to bridge the gap between professional respect and personal connection. Lyra, he began, hesitating. I would want to understand more, not just your culture, but you, your thoughts, feelings, what drives you. Her eyes met his, calm yet intense. And I wish to understand you, Ethan. Humans, they are unpredictable, yet I sense honesty in you. That is rare. Ethan's heart beat faster. I try to be honest. I guess I want to know you, not as a diplomat, but as a person, someone I can trust. Lyra tilted her head, a faint blush shimmering across her silver skin. Trust is not given lightly, yet you have earned it. I wish to share more with you. The two of them sat near the bed, the soft hum of the station filling the room. Ethan realized that trust had grown into something more profound, an emotional bond that transcended species, culture, and distance. You know, he said quietly, back on Earth, humans sometimes use small acts to show care. Cooking, helping with work, listening. Little things that say, I trust you. Lyra smiled faintly. I see. Small acts can communicate much. Humans, they are expressive. Ethan nodded. Yes, and I want to learn the ways your people show trust. I want to understand all of you. Lyra leaned slightly closer, her golden eyes meeting his. And I wish to understand humans, your emotions, your courage, your way of seeing the world. You are remarkable, Ethan. Ethan felt a warmth he had never experienced before. Remarkable? That's flattering coming from you. She chuckled softly, a sound that made him feel calm and safe. Flattery is not my goal. Observation is humans. They are capable. You show depth. That is rare. The conversation shifted naturally, moving from culture and values to small confessions. Ethan admitted fears he rarely spoke of. His worry about being far from Earth, the pressure to succeed in the galaxy, and his desire to connect with someone who truly understood him. Lyra shared stories of her own challenges, the expectations placed upon her as a diplomat, and the loneliness that came with her responsibilities. Ethan listened carefully, realizing how similar their feelings were despite the vast differences between their worlds. You understand me, Lyra said finally. Few do. Even among my people, I am isolated. Yet, with you, I feel calm, safe. Ethan felt his chest tighten. I feel the same way. Even though we are different, I feel like I can be myself with you. They spoke late into the evening, exploring their feelings and building a connection grounded in honesty, trust, and mutual respect. The single bed no longer mattered. It had become a safe space where two beings from different worlds could share thoughts, fears, and hopes without judgment. At one point, Lyra shifted closer, her golden eyes studying him. Humans, they often fear closeness. Yet, I sense you do not. Ethan smiled faintly. I guess I've learned that closeness can be strength, not weakness, especially with someone I trust. Lyra's lips curved in a gentle smile. Trust, courage, understanding, you possess all. That is rare among humans and aliens alike. Ethan reached out hesitantly, his hand hovering near hers. Lyra, I want to be closer. Not just in trust, but in knowing you completely. She met his gaze steadily. And I wish the same. Yet, we must respect boundaries. Culture and comfort are important. Ethan nodded. Of course, I want this to be mutual. Not forced, not rushed. Just real. Lyra's golden eyes softened and she allowed her hand to brush lightly against his. The touch was gentle, deliberate, and full of meaning. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him, a deep sense of connection that transcended words. The station hummed around them, indifferent to their quiet moment. Outside, ships docked and departed. Life continued and the galaxy stretched endlessly. Inside the small room, however, trust, understanding, and a shared willingness to connect had transformed the space into something far more meaningful than mere quarters with a single bed. Ethan realized that their connection was not only personal, but symbolic. Humans and aliens could find common ground, build trust, and form bonds that transcended species. It was a lesson he hoped to carry into the wider galaxy, proving that understanding and empathy were as powerful as any technology or weapon. As night deepened, they arranged themselves on the bed, maintaining comfort while sharing the small space. Ethan felt the steady warmth of Lyra beside him, the quiet assurance that their bond was growing stronger with every shared moment. Tomorrow, Lyra whispered softly, we will continue, learning from each other. Humans, they have potential, and I wish to explore it together. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the truth in her words. He knew that challenges would continue, both within the station and beyond. Yet the trust and understanding they had built would give them strength. The stars outside stretched endlessly, yet the room felt like the safest place in the galaxy. Ethan realized that adventure was not only in action or danger, it was in trust, connection, and the courage to open oneself to someone very different and yet perfectly compatible. And as they drifted into sleep, the single bed became more than furniture. It became a symbol of possibility, understanding, and the quiet power of shared trust. The galaxy, vast and mysterious, seemed a little smaller, friendlier, and full of promise for both a human and an alien learning to navigate a universe together. The station thrummed with energy as Ethan awoke to another busy day. The events of the past days, the chaos, the shared trust, and the quiet connection with Lyra still lingered in his mind. Today, however, the station felt heavier, as though it was holding its breath. Ethan dressed quickly, checking his tools and systems. He glanced at Lyra, who was already awake, standing by the window, her golden eyes scanning the distant ships that moved through the docking bays. She turned toward him, her expression calm but focused. "Good morning, Ethan," she said softly. "Today, maybe challenging." Ethan swallowed, feeling a mixture of anticipation and determination. "I'm ready," he said. "We've handled trouble before and we'll handle it again." Lyra's lips curved in a small, approving smile. "Yes. Together, we are stronger." They began their rounds, checking systems, monitoring energy flows, and observing the station's operations. The hum of machinery and chatter of aliens created a familiar rhythm, but Ethan sensed tension beneath the routine. Something was different today. As they reached the central hub, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed across the station, accompanied by a deep vibration that shook the floor beneath their feet. "Station-wide alert," the automated voice announced. "Energy surge detected. Critical systems at risk. Evacuate non-essential personnel immediately." Ethan's heart pounded. He and Lyra exchanged a brief glance, their shared understanding clear. They would not evacuate. They would face the problem together. "Follow me," Lyra said, moving quickly through the corridors. "We must reach the energy core. The surge, if uncontrolled, could destroy the station." Ethan sprinted behind, her gripping his tools tightly. The corridors blurred past them as the red lights cast long shadows. Aliens and humans rushed in all directions. Some panicked, others focused on their tasks. Amid the chaos, Ethan noticed Lyra's calm demeanor. She did not hesitate, did not falter. Her presence gave him courage. They reached the energy core chamber, a vast room filled with humming machinery, glowing conduits, and intricate control panels. Sparks flew from a damaged conduit, and the air smelled faintly of ozone. Ethan's mind raced as he assessed the situation. "We need to stabilize the main power grid," he said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline. "If we don't reroute the surge, the station could blow." Lyra nodded. "Yes. Divert energy to auxiliary circuits. I will adjust the stabilizers. We must synchronize our actions precisely." They worked quickly, their movements coordinated. Ethan reconnected power conduits while Lyra monitored energy flows and recalibrated stabilizers. Sparks and smoke filled the air as the surge threatened to overwhelm the system. "Almost there," Lyra said, her voice calm but urgent. "Divert the remaining power. Now." Ethan acted without hesitation, redirecting energy and sealing the circuits. The surge stabilized with a low hum, the red alarms flickering and then going silent. They both exhaled deeply, leaning against the control panels, their bodies shaking from adrenaline. Ethan looked at Lyra, awe in his eyes. "We did it." Lyra's golden eyes softened. "Yes, together, we succeeded. Humans, you are remarkable." Ethan smiled faintly. "So are you, Lyra. I couldn't have done it without you." They stepped back from the energy core, surveying the room. Other engineers and technicians began repairing minor damage, while the station's automated systems returned to normal. The threat had passed, and the station, alive with motion, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "You were incredible," Ethan said as they walked back to their quarters. "Your calm, your focus, it made all the difference." Lyra's lips curved in a faint smile. "And you? Your courage, quick thinking, and trust made it possible. Humans and aliens, together, can achieve much." Back in the small quarters, they sat near the single bed, letting the tension of the day fade. The bed, once a symbol of awkwardness, had become a symbol of unity, trust, and shared experiences. Ethan began, hesitating slightly. "I want to thank you for trusting me, for working with me, for being yourself." Lyra's golden eyes met his, calm and unwavering. "And thank you, Ethan. Trust is earned. You have earned it. Respect is mutual." Ethan smiled, feeling a profound sense of connection. "Lyra, I've realized something. Humans and aliens, and we're different in so many ways, but together we can accomplish more than either alone. I want to explore that with you." Lyra tilted her head, considering his words. "Yes, I'd feel the same. Together, we are stronger, and I wish to continue learning from each other." They spent the evening sharing small stories, laughter, and quiet moments of reflection. Ethan spoke of Earth, the people, the landscapes, and the dreams that humans held. Lyra shared tales of her planet, its beauty, its challenges, and the values that guided her people. "You have courage and honesty," Lyra said softly. "And you inspire trust. That is rare." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him. "I try to be honest. I try to act with courage. But having someone to trust makes it easier. You make it easier." Lyra's lips curved into a gentle smile. "Then we support each other, humans and aliens, united. That is powerful." As the night deepened, they prepared for sleep. The single bed, once awkward, was now a comforting space. Ethan felt the steady presence of Lyra beside him, her golden eyes reflecting trust and understanding. "Tomorrow," Lyra whispered softly, "we will face new challenges. Yet, together, we will overcome them." Ethan nodded. "Yes, together. No problem is too big, and no risk too great." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, distant yet constant. Inside the room, the human and the alien shared a quiet moment, a space filled with trust, courage, and understanding. The past days had transformed them, from strangers forced to share a room, to partners capable of facing chaos, danger, and uncertainty together. Ethan reflected on the journey. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown challenges, but he had learned something invaluable. Trust and cooperation could bridge even the widest gaps. He had faced danger, shared quiet moments, and discovered the strength of partnership across species. Lyra shifted slightly, her golden eyes meeting his. "Humans, you are capable, and you are kind. That combination is rare. I am grateful to know you, Ethan." Ethan smiled. "I feel the same." "You're remarkable, Lyra. Calm, intelligent, and trusting. That makes everything possible." They settled into sleep, the hum of the station around them a gentle reminder of the life and motion beyond the room. The single bed, once a simple necessity, had become a symbol of trust, partnership, and mutual respect. The next morning, the station greeted them with routine activity, but Ethan and Lyra moved through it with a newfound confidence. They inspected systems together, coordinated with engineers and technicians, and shared quiet observations about the galaxy around them. "You learn quickly," Lyra noted, watching Ethan analyze a complex system. "And you adapt. Humans, they are impressive." Ethan chuckled. "You're not so bad yourself. I've learned a lot from you." Lyra's golden eyes softened. "And from you. Humans. They teach courage, trust, and creativity. That is invaluable." As the day progressed, they worked together seamlessly, their combined skills preventing minor accidents and ensuring smooth operations. Other station residents began to notice the harmony between them, the mutual respect and unspoken understanding that allowed them to act with precision and calm. By evening, they returned to their quarters, exhausted but satisfied. The single bed awaited them, a quiet witness to their shared victories, conversations, and trust. Ethan looked at Lyra, his chest warm with emotion. "I never imagined sharing a room would be like this. I never imagined we could connect this deeply." Lyra smiled faintly. "And I never expected a human to earn my trust so quickly. Yet, here we are, together, facing the galaxy." They lay quietly, letting the events of the day settle. The chaos, the danger, the shared triumphs, all of it had brought them closer. Ethan realized that the galaxy was not only a place of adventure and challenge, it was a place where trust, understanding, and partnership could thrive, even across species. "Tomorrow," Lyra whispered as they drifted into sleep, "we will face more challenges. Yet as together, we are unstoppable." Ethan smiled, closing his eyes. Together, nothing is impossible. Outside, the stars sparkled endlessly, indifferent yet constant. Inside, a human and an alien shared a quiet room, a single bed, and a bond forged in trust, courage, and understanding. The galaxy seemed smaller, friendlier, and full of promise. And in that quiet, shared space, Ethan realized something profound. Humans could not only survive among aliens, they could inspire trust, cooperation, and even friendship. And when humans and aliens worked together, there was no limit to what they could achieve. The interstellar station hummed with life, unaware of the small but powerful story unfolding within its walls. A human and an alien, once strangers, had become partners, allies, and friends. Their bond was proof that trust, courage, and understanding could transcend differences, overcome danger, and create something extraordinary. And as Ethan and Lyra slept side by side, the single bed became more than a place to rest. It became a symbol of the extraordinary potential of humans and aliens working together, sharing their strengths, and building a better galaxy.